topic, Crim. Give me what you got.
Very easy. I love outlandish, right? I love all of that. So, and you know what? I love my isekais.
Uh-oh. Where's this going? Yeah.
Space Jam.
I hate you, Kramer. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 18 of the Niisan podcast. It's crazy that we're already in the adult years. We can buy cigarettes. We can go to nightclubs. We can die for our country, Crim. We can die for our country in podcast terms.
And we can do other things like go to... You know what? Okay, yeah, we're 18.
Okay,
so
anyways, nothing else. There's nothing omitted from that whatsoever.
Totally.
And if you guys have been listening to our podcast, you'll know that I am Xell and Crim, and joined with me, of course, is Crim, the Asian Avenger. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for doing this. And I believe you're doing this. It's quite funny how all this came together so far for this episode, because I'm gonna just fill in a little bit of story here. Everybody pull up a chair, and it is Xell may or may not have been ready to go to bed with melatonin in mind. So we're gonna try to keep Xell focused this episode. Yeah, I got you, dude.
Let me explain to you why, because Kelly randomly got. It's actually even a funny story. Yeah, my girlfriend Kelly got sick because she irritated her throat from doing Toad impressions like from Mario, and it got so bad that she's had to take like sore throat medicine. I wish I was kidding, but that is actually the story here. And now she actually has real cold symptoms, because your body sometimes does that if you irritate your like physical form enough, you know. And so I was putting her to bed early, and then I was in bed taking melatonin, and Crim's like, "Yeah, you ready for the podcast?" And I was like, "Oh." And so I was like, "I'm sorry, Kelly. Crim can't reschedule this week. It's a busy week. I need to record this podcast." And so my girlfriend, who's taking, under cold symptoms, I move her to her computer room, lay her down on the floor. So she's sleeping there right now.
I was laughing because the way you said, "I'm moving Kelly," and I'm just imagining you picking her up, right, and just placing her.
It's
like picking your cat up and then trying to like move it away from your keyboard.
So anyways, that's the long story of how this episode came together. No, but the actual thing that we're going to be talking about today, in theme of the fact that the Olympics are going on in Japan. Very unpopular, by the way. I don't think I have not seen any hubbub around the Olympics whatsoever in any of the things that I consume. And two, I think that, I don't know. I guess it's rightfully unpopular because I think due to like the COVID concerns and whatever, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't think this is a good idea." Blah, blah. But anyways, it's happening. But so instead of talking about the Olympics, which is boring, real people sports, who cares? Instead, we'll talk about anime sports, which is much cooler.
Hey. So one would say I would like a few sports myself, so naturally, which is weird, by the way. I would say you're more of the sports anime expert than I am.
Well, okay, wait. Did you grow up playing sports?
I kind of grew up. I was actually supposed to be a tennis superstar.
Wait, really?
My dad sent me to tennis camp all the time. Clearly, that panned out just fine for me. You've all heard of me in the world of tennis, as you know, Crimmy Roderick. Yeah, that's what they call me. That's what everybody knows me as. Yes,
Crimmerer. I'm trying to think of other Crimderer. What other?
Yep. That's me. That's it. But and you wouldn't believe this, but in 5th grade, I actually was on my elementary school football team for a whole 2 months. For a whole 2 months, and I took a month's worth of karate. so yeah, like obviously all these things, there's a timeline where like Crim is like buff Crim. Like I'm just like this little like, I don't know, muscle of a human being. I'm like a torso.
Alternate universe Crim where the black hair is on the other side and the pink hair and he's just a mega Chad. He's like Anime? What a nerd.
Yeah. Babe, come on, let's go. The brewskis are getting cold.
Yeah, babe. Yeah, he's just
Babe.
just wearing a wife beater and jeans and
Oh,
the old
God,
varsity
yeah.
jacket when he peaked in high school. Yeah. I want to see that version of Crim really badly.
I don't want to see that version of me. So
It's just the existence of it would be so funny to me that I think I could die happy at that point.
there are so many timelines where that is just it's potential. There's definitely potential that one exists. So, but yeah, so I kind of grew up around it. I watch basketball. I watch football, right? And what is my favorite thing about, watching like football, basketball, all these things? It's that, yes, the sport itself is a lot of fun to watch, but oddly enough, there's the narrative that they've gotten very good. A lot like how in wrestling, stuff like that too. Wrestling might be, people always like, oh, it's fake, yada, 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 so I don't want to watch it. But it's like legitimately entertaining.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like growing up, it was legitimately entertaining. And why is that? Because they were very good at writing the stories, the narratives, and all of that. Right. So naturally, sports anime, without being bound by the physical abilities, let's just say, as the plain old boring human being sports, is able to tell you this amazing story while also doing all this, an even deeper dive into the things that I like from sports already. So it's kind of weird to me that I have not been like hardcore into every sports anime like a majority of people are. So, but for me, I do like some. I do like a good amount, just not as much as, people do. But I'm excited to go over this week's episode because I think we're going to go into like all the sports animes that we're a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought up the whole narrative thing, because I think a hallmark of a good sports anime is that the sport itself is just a vehicle, right, to tell the stories of the characters. And that's why I like the list that I put together is mostly about these shows that like, oh yeah, the sport exists, but that's not, you don't watch I'm like Prince of Tennis to understand how you should be serving better. Like you're not like mechanically trying to understand like how are these guys doing these things.
Have you tried? Like,
I'm imagining. I don't know. You're the tennis star. Maybe you watch Prince of Tennis and you tried.
Prince of Tennis is based off of me, dude.
Oh, that's you, dude. Anyway, I think sports anime is so funny because like shows like Prince of Tennis, they're so outlandish where they start you off with like, yeah, this guy can like serve and the bounce like goes a little differently than you think. Yeah. And then towards the end, they're just like breaking the tennis courts and like everyone's racket.
They're just demigods,
snaps.
right?
Yeah.
Like
they're like weapons of mass destruction playing tennis for some reason.
Like, bro, why are you doing that here in tennis? Why don't you do that somewhere like
yeah, you could like take over the world like Genghis Khan, and yet you're like tennis racketing it up. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. Sports anime, I think, is usually kind of within the lines of shonen, right? It's like the offshoot of shonen, where a lot of it is about friendship and being the best and trying really hard and so I don't know. I mean, I think sports anime for some reason compared to like the generic like battle shonens always find a way to like draw me back in, and I guess I'm a competitive person at heart, so I think that's one of the reasons why I just love sports anime so much. But yeah, let's get into it. Do you want to start off? We put together a list of 5 each. It was kind of arbitrary, but let's just talk about some sports anime.
So for me, I like when I look at my list, right? I'm trying not to put like, the Kuroko no Basket stuff and, like the haikus, because personally, I feel like we agree that those are just like some of the best, right? Those are like the top tier. It's like the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right?
Should I just mention that I put haiku on my list?
I said my list, so you do you. So I'm just gonna show you a few other things that aren't gonna be on that list or as prominent. And some of them are even a little more recent. So yeah, and I'm gonna have an honorable mention here before I go right into mine. I wanted to put Yu-Gi-Oh on this list.
Yeah, we discussed this early on.
Like you laugh, like it's fair. It's a fair thing, but I'm just gonna say, is it not a sports anime?
It's pretty close to a sports anime. Not gonna lie, it's close.
Right. Okay. Because look,
kind of like
Poker's
Tokyo
a sport,
Ghoul is kind
right?
of like a vampire story, right?
Okay, no, that's not true. Okay, actually, Tokyo Ghoul is the one where I might give you that exception, maybe. But yeah, like, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh does have its elements, right? It has the showmanship, it has the friendship, it has the battle-esque thing. And it does have physical things that could happen to you, like going to the Shadow Realm isn't exactly a piece of cake. So I will.
You been there before?
Well, I mean, I try not to talk about my time there, but yeah, like
how long ago was it that you played Magic Arena and got sent to the Shadow Realm?
Oh God, okay. I just want to say that I think card games, right, are a sport, right? So like poker, we watch poker, right?
100%.
This is just higher stakes poker.
Yeah, dude, imagine if they did like an anime for Magic the Gathering, and it's like loser of this gets sent to the Shadow Realm forever. Your soul is in, and then the guy gets land screwed, and he's like,
yeah, like imagine getting mana screwed.
I didn't even have a chance this game.
There is a manga, by the way, that is based. It's like it's done in the form of Yu-Gi-Oh, but with magic.
I've seen it. Yes, the manga's actually pretty good. I kept up with it for a little bit. I liked it. It was ridiculous.
I actually need to read it. I heard it's like pretty good. So yeah, like that's one of them. But yeah, so that's an honorable mention for me, just because I think it has lots of elements of what a sports anime does have. Yes, it gets a little more into the fantasy side when they start, when Kaiba's like, what about timelines and stuff like that? Screw you, I have money. Okay, cool, word.
Money is a superpower. I don't know.
Yeah, like the time travel. There's the fantasy element too and all this. But yeah, like I think at its core, I mean, it has that card game. And that card game does feel like a sport. Mm-hmm. In that world, it does feel like a major phenomenon sport, right? So, but yeah, we'll go to something, I guess, I would still say is pretty outlandish, but definitely a sports anime. And it's kind of recent, actually. I know you could probably figure it out now. You didn't like it as much. I'm high on it. I thought it was probably one of the most enjoyable sports animes. It's Skate the Infinity.
Oh, actually, that was not what I was expecting. Oh,
no.
Okay, Skate
You were getting punched? No, we're not doing the punchy. No.
No, instead of the punchy, it's the slam the deck into the person's facey.
Hey, what do we call it? The 50-50 nose grind, okay? It's real. It works. It's the sports is there.
It sure beats the crap out of the competition.
In a literal sense, yes, but on top of that, the anime does have its outlandish moments, but almost every sports anime, like we had just talked about Prince of Tennis, like the fact that it's like essentially these ghost serves that they do that's like, okay, you'll never hit it. Like, what? Okay. So there's a lot of that here too. Like some of the well, actually, that's still in the realm of tennis. This like the Love Matador's special move is literally just physical violence, but like I still think that there's still tons of parts of the world of skateboarding. You still see that, and they talk a little bit about the snowboarding elements, but you get taken to this kind of weird world where skateboarding is king, and there's like it's essentially Fast and Furious meets skateboarding. That's what I think of this, and with a little bit of Yuri on Ice as the cherry on top. So like, that's the best way I could describe that. And like the main character is kind of awful and sucks. I mean, like not as a character, he just sucks, right, at everything. Like in comparison, every character around him, he's like, "Yo, hey man, I just did a 900. Well, I just went off a curb without falling." Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how it feels with Reki.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do love him because he's the underdog. So that's the one thing I love about sports animes, and this is one of those things. They build a very good underdog, and you just can't help but want to root for them, as awful as they may be. It's like, you know what, Tiger, get him, go win that tournament, go win the X Games, whatever. And I like Reki. I think Reki and Lunga is like a, I forgot his name, Lungia? Longa. Yes. He's the classic, quiet OP character. He's like, oh, dude, am I actually good? Weird. Whoa. Bro, I didn't know I could
like,
do
how
that.
did I do that?
Whoa, man. Whatever. Like, this is, oh my God. He is literally just Johnny Tsunami. He went the other way.
Yeah.
Like,
is Johnny Tsunami
oh my God.
anime?
Is this just Johnny Tsunami, the anime? Like, but that's a Disney movie for those that watch that. I don't know if any of you did. But yeah, like, so he's got he's the gray-haired, quiet friend that's just came from out of town, had this background in snowboarding, dark story, randomly need to throw that in there. So they've got all the elements that I like of a sports anime and done well, and around a sport that I really enjoy. I love the idea, I love watching skateboarding. I myself suck at skateboarding, but the thing here is it is fun as hell to watch it. So it was cool to see an anime and done semi-tastefully.
I broke my thumb skateboarding, so yeah, I'm a big fan of like the skateboarding aspect of Skate. Also, just like its soundtrack and everything is killer.
Yeah.
It's beautifully animated. Oh God, like some of the sequences that they show, and I love the little goofy interstitials that they have in every episode too. They're always really good, and I think Skate's one of those shows that is just like oozing with personality. It's just it's good, good lighthearted fun. Yeah, I like, as Crim mentioned, I was a little down on certain aspects, but like I know a lot of people love this anime, so don't let Mr. Negative Josh steer you otherwise. But I'm just the contrarian, I guess. But
you just haven't experienced the creepy ass matador of love. Okay?
Yeah, I just need a creepy matador of love to creep on me. Except I'm 30, so it doesn't really work that way.
Oh, yeah,
in anime, I'd be the creepy one, and like,
yeah, exactly.
Because like somehow in anime, when you turn 30, you get like gray hair and like.
I'm pretty sure like Genkai and Yu Yu Hakusho was like probably 30. Like, you know what I mean? And like,
but they make them like feel like these
Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I guess your life is over when you turn 30, as far as anime is considered.
Yeah.
Your life starts in middle school and never ends, and then when you're ready to die, you're 30.
Yep. That's it. That's where all anime characters go when they turn 30. Yeah. But yeah. I think that's pretty much like the thing that Josh had mentioned there was the personality of every character is awesome. Oh man, I love this show. But yeah, what about you for number 5?
I'm just going to get this one over with because we kind of mentioned it already, but Haikyuu, I know this one is very, very popular, but I think this is one of those shows that is like popular for a great reason. Similar to how I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen sort of reimagined a lot of how we feel about battle shonens and sort of reinvigorated that format. I felt like Haikyuu kind of did that for sports anime because I felt like for a long time, there's like a long period of time where I felt like a lot of sports anime just felt the same. It was just like crazy main like OP main character, the crazy powers like Kuroko no Basket, Prince of Tennis, Eye Shield 21. Like a lot of these sports anime are ones where the sport sort of kind of doesn't matter. It's just like the main character's always OP. They have some sort of crazy like beyond human ability that they can do, and things get really crazy really fast, and there's power creep and whatnot. Haikyuu sort of takes it back a notch from the craziness that is in like Kuroko no Basket, the ones I mentioned, and kind of ground it more in reality. It's still like, okay, the main characters are OP or whatever, but I felt like they shifted a lot of the tone into more realistic things, and I really appreciated that about Haikyuu, and I felt like that sort of changed how I felt about sports anime for a while, and I think Haikyuu deserves the praise that it gets, much like some of these other popular shonen that sort of take over the genre. And I don't know, I just every season, I'm just always impressed by how fun the show is, and the cast of characters is wide, but you get a lot of time with them, and so you feel like there's so much that you want to root for. Like very frequently when I watch Haikyuu, I root for every team that's on screen because you just want everyone to win somehow. But of course, that's not how competition works. That's not how sports work. And you get to feel disappointment alongside these teams, and feel good with the victories. And so I'm just a huge fan of Haikyuu, and so I wanted to just throw that out there. I know it's popular, but it's one of those shows that if you somehow have not heard of Haikyuu or you haven't watched it, like, please give it a chance. It's very good. Characters are great. The story arcs are great. And I think if you're somebody who just likes the idea of being competitive, like, this one's a great one because they go into the team aspect of it a lot, and like people having different motivations for wanting to get better, and like I feel like there's just so many relatable characters in the show, and again, because it's grounded more in realism, I feel like it all tonally fits a little bit better, because I think it's kind of hard to relate to characters who are just brokenly OP, right? Like, you know, when you've got Kuroko no Basket, where it's like, oh, the guy's superpowers, he can shoot from literally anywhere on the basketball
Have
court.
you seen Steph Curry?
Okay, so he's literally the only person who can relate to that.
Steph Curry's like, yo, this makes sense. He's just watching. He's like,
yeah, he's like,
sense.
Yeah, you know, like you give him enough time. Yeah, of course you're gonna score. Like, what do you mean?
See, so like that just shows you that's Steph Curry. The anime is based on Steph.
So, anyways, I just find, you know, I think Haikyuu is kind of a breath of fresh air from that kind of anime, and so Haikyuu, big fan, and I love it to death. So
I will say that the idea of volleyball has always been extremely boring to me.
How dare you?
And
I said, how dare you?
It's always been extremely boring, like resident sleep for me, yada yada yada. But I did watch like the first, I think, like 12 episodes of Haikyuu, and I did really like it. I just think that I never finished it because at the time there was a ton of animes that were coming out by the seasons, and I was trying to keep up with that. So I actually do need to go back and get into it. And this means that, like, for those that are listening to this podcast, you don't actually have to like the sports, by the way. Like, I think that's the best thing about sports anime is that they've made it so that even if you don't care for the sport, it doesn't matter because you care about the characters, and you'll like that.
Absolutely. It's funny. There was actually a study done in that when a popular anime of a sport comes out, that the interest in that sport increases dramatically. And so when Haikyuu got released, the amount of volleyball enthusiasm got like much higher in the country. And they even played the Haikyuu song at the Olympics this year, which is kind of funny too for the men's volleyball team in Japan, because apparently they're really good. I don't know. I don't keep up with actual volleyball, but apparently they're good.
See, like, and yeah, so that's the main thing. Like, this show was very well done. I like the dude. What is it? The gray hair dude with glasses.
Gray hair dude with glasses.
Let me see here.
Let me get
hair,
Carrot.
The blonde. Yeah, sorry, the blonde. Yeah, with glasses.
Yeah.
K.
The really lanky guy.
Yeah, Tsukishima.
Yeah.
Him. I liked him. He was cool.
He's awesome.
Yeah, that's my dude. So
he's such an asshole. Is that why you like him?
But he's like a friendly asshole, right?
Yeah.
I thought so, at least. I mean, I think he's just like got this like vibe that he's just like very competitive, rough around the edges, but he's like kind of like this character I just like. I don't know why. There's something. Maybe it's just because it's a Kitsundere.
He's very snarky, and I love his humor. So yeah,
that's why I love everything about that. Right, like his sass and all that, and his snark, all of it combined together, which is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Other than that, though, so now let's go and move on to the next sports anime we've got. So what is your number 4? I'm curious what you've got.
My number 4 is kind of along the same lines of Haikyuu, but this one, because it's made by the same people, Production IG. But I think this one kind of goes under people's radar a lot, and this one's called Run Like the Wind.
I've been told this is very good, like by numerous people.
Yes, and for a lot of the same reasons I like Haikyuu, I like Run. Maybe am I just a sucker for realism? I don't know. Run Like the Wind is very much in the same vein, where it's much more realistic. It's about running, long distance running, of all things. I hate running. I will say that just straight off the bat. Like, the reason why I liked sports growing up was that I could exercise without having to actually think about the cardio, you know? And like now in my adult age, when I am forced to do cardio and like run because it's like good for me, I just hate it. But after watching Run Like the Wind, I was like, maybe I should try giving running a shot again. And again, it's I think compared to Haikyuu has a very like light and energetic feel to it. Run Like the Wind's a little more, I think, smoother, calmer, and like more sometimes has more like undertones, that because like the main character is a very reserved guy, and he's kind of standoffish, and it creates a very different tone to the show. But similarly in Haikyuu, it's realistic and talks about actually the team building aspect of running, which I thought was interesting because I was like, I always thought of running as just like it's just you and the road. And they kind of go into how like, runners try to inspire each other and how to push each other. Cause like running is a sport in which it's kind of lonesome, right? And there's not a lot to it. You're just running. And so a lot of it is talking about like the endurance part of it, the mentality of it, and how to keep pushing yourself even if you don't feel like it. And so, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because when you run in real life, that's how it feels. Because like I hate cardio because when you're running and you're only just running, that's all you can feel is how heavy your body is and how much you hate how fat you've become, right? And like the self-hatred while I run, maybe this is too specific. This is just me personally, okay? But like I that's all you feel, and you get in your own head about like how tired you are and stuff. And so when you watch Run Like the Wind, it's kind of re-inspiring about like how to keep pushing yourself even though you just hate yourself and you just want to give up and whatever. And so I found it really inspiring. It's only like 24 episodes, I think, to wrap up the entire story. So unlike Haikyuu, which has like multiple seasons, Run Like the Wind is pretty short and simple, and I really appreciate it. So if you guys are looking for something that you can just like sink your teeth into and just be done with, like I highly recommend Run Like the Wind. So yeah.
Okay. So
that's my spiel.
All right. I've heard high praises of this. So this is one of the ones that I think like everyone like has recommended me before, and I've just never gotten around to it. Because this is another like just a simple one, and I think at a point the realism might be a reason why, because that's what I've often told, like the realisticness of it kind of just is like, okay, sure. Maybe I'll eventually get to it, but like I want the outlandishness. You know what I mean? A little.
Give me polar a little bit. Opposite.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, they can't just go into hyperdrift space? Like I don't understand. This is a running anime.
Why can't they all just be the Flash? They don't just run through time or something like that. You know what I mean? But like this,
I heard about that, by the way, that like the Flash eventually can like time travel. I don't know anything about the Flash, but I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize how anime the Flash got.
Dude, yeah, the Flash gets very anime. So that's probably the reason why it kind of deterred me away for a little bit. But you know, I think as I got a little bit older, I started understanding and appreciating the subtleties and the simplisticness and the realisticness of things.
Yes,
so
come to our side, the old people side.
I think this is just the anime enjoyer at the age of 30 side, right? Like,
yes, welcome.
All these abilities. That's so much work to keep up with.
Exactly. Just your 2 feet, shoes, and a road. Come to the dark side, the retiring home.
Oh my god. Yeah, you maybe this is time to start. See, like there is an anime. This one I know is not as ranked as high. I think it's kind of underrated. But my number 4, it has its bits of outlandishness. It has, of course, the fan service character. But it's Hanabeto. I actually enjoyed this one. I don't know why. And like, cause like essentially the main one of the characters, right? Ayano, she's essentially able to like forever always return any serve. That's her ability. And I'm just like, it's kind of OP, but like, and she's just like this little like quiet girl that she doesn't seem fast or anything, and she just always returns the serve of the bird, no matter what. So I enjoyed this show because I think I liked the way they just wrote every character. Obviously, Nagisa she's the fan servicey character, but like also like the badass at the same time. Except she looks totally not like a high schooler or anything like that. I think she looks like a full on girl, like 40. Like she's got the build of like seriously an Olympic like.
That's what we call high school in anime.
Oh right, yes, because I remember that in high school. Right. If you actually just ignore the fan servicey angles when they focus on with Nagisa, everything else is actually kind of fun. It's a badminton anime. I never played badminton, but I did go to badminton games and whatnot, whether it was men's badminton, women's badminton. I just would go to my high school badminton games, right? But yeah, like there's just enjoyable characters here, and I think that's the main thing. I just like following them and seeing like actually Nagisa kind of like try to get to her dreams, and like they just did a good job. It's an underrated anime. It's kind of simple though. It's just legit. She wants to win before she graduates, right? And like wants to win a big tournament before she graduates. She's never been like like Nagisa's never been like an all-star, so that's why that's when. And then Ayano, she kind of comes in, and they're both like kind of they clash.
Yeah,
but they're like the way that like like two like kind of like two rivals that better each other would clash, right? So it was great to see them on the same team better each other while trying to like get the team's morale up, because the whole team sucked prior to like the whole team was bad, but then like together these two like gave the entire team a whole new second win. So it was just fun watching this journey and going on it with them. And it's only like 13, 12 episodes or so. There's a manga that goes on for it, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember when Hanabata came out, the one of the things that really impressed me was the animation. I don't know how they animated it, if it was like motion tracked or just like rotoscoped or something, but man, some of the animated shots that they use they're gorgeous.
It has to be motion tracked, because some of the movements that they're able to just get are just
so
flawless.
realistic looking, and like they're really amazing. So I did keep up with it, but yeah, I did enjoy how good the animation was on that show.
All right, so now moving on to number 3.
Numero tres.
So, do you want to lead us into this?
This one might also be on, because I know you've seen this one, and this one is, we talked about it, if Yu-Gi-Oh is a sport. Well, here's a show that is about a card game that no one can play except people who are Japanese, and the show is called Chihaya Furu, and Chihaya Furu is it's a show about this. How do I explain this? There's a great Prosy D skit where he talks about how you can't explain the game in Chihaya Furu without the other person immediately getting bored. But essentially, it's like these 100 cards that are like poems that they read out, and there's a reader. Are you bored yet? Who reads out the poem. The first part of the poem, and the second clause of the poem, the players have to respond to and slap that card, and like basically take that card. So it's a game of memorization.
Are you listeners still following? By the way,
are you guys asleep already? Okay, wake up, guys! Come on, all right, wake up!
Done. This is very easy, by the way. These rules are very easy.
So you're like, so how is this show good? Yeah, that's the crazy thing, is that despite it being about this very bizarre card game that they play, the show is about this girl named Chihaya, who is just kind of this eternal sunshine who is working to be the best. I forgot what the game is actually called. Holy crap. Do you remember?
It's let me see.
But anyways, she's trying to be the best Karuta player that she can be, and
Kunin Ishu Karuta.
Yeah. And so like she meets a boy who is like the genius, and then one of her best friends is the tryhard, and there's a kind of a love triangle, but the love triangle kind of sucks. But that said, I think one of the things that I love about Chihaya Furu is just the exploration of competition between all the different characters and their perspectives on this game. And for Chihaya herself too, is like she goes from being like, oh, I want to be competitive at this game because I see, I'm just a competitive person, to being like, oh, I want to share this competitiveness with other people. And she grows the people around her, and it's sort of her personal growth through the competition, through this game, and how people use competition as a way of self-discovery. And you find that a lot with the character Taichi, who is the tryhard I talked about, where he's like, he's the guy who has the helicopter parents.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Like the light hair brown dude. Yeah.
And he is good at everything that he does, but he's not as good as everybody else at this game, Karuta. And, he goes through the cycle of like, am I actually good at things, or like why can't I, so he kind of has this like self-doubt moment of like, I'm good at everything. Why am I not good at this? And then you have, the other, oh my god, I forgot the glasses dude, but he's like the guy who descended from
his name starts with a W, right?
Yeah, and he comes from a long line of history of like really, really strong Karuta players, and so he's trying to live it up for his granddad. And so like, you know, everyone has these different motivations of why they play this really awkward game that no one plays, and you know, they even mention how like this is not a popular game, but this is the game that they've chosen to love, and now they want to compete and do the best they can within it. And discovering that sort of like inner world of this game and its community, like Chihaya Furu is one of my favorites because they explore these themes so well, and people for a long time were never expecting a season 3 because it had been so long between the second and third season, but we finally got a third season only a few years back, and so hopefully there's another season because my god, I love Chihaya Furu.
It's that's definitely a game where that's a show where I think the characters carry it for more than the game, because like I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no idea.
Let's try playing it, dude. Let's learn all 100 Japanese poems. Yeah.
We'll make a video for. We should try to make a video. Let's make it and then just let's just try to film it and us playing it. And we'll see. And we'll do a tutorial, maybe, whatever that means. So
if someone is listening to our podcast in LA who actually knows how to play Karuta, I would 100% love to film this video because it'd be very funny to watch us
please suck
ass at
Can
this
we get
Karuta
game coaches? Please.
Oh my god. Dude, Twitch rivals, but Karuta.
Oh my god. If we thought Magic the Gathering wasn't exactly, esports friendly, there's no way this is esports friendly, right?
Haragata Nation. That's how they start every poem, and they have like a very specific way of reading it. Yeah.
Wait, so so you have to slap that verse that they just wait, what?
Yeah. Like, how do you commentate on this? I don't know.
Oh my god, Xell knew exactly the second verse of the first poem.
He's gone with the card, like, because there's like strategy, I guess, in how you place the cards, and it's like, oh man, he's got the blue eyes white diagram on his cards. Like, what? I don't understand. After watching Chihaya Furu, I did go and watch a real Chihaya Furu match on YouTube, and the top comments are all just like, Chihaya Furu brought me here, and it's kind of hype, not gonna lie. Like,
I need to watch this.
It's pretty cool. I watched the World Championships at the women's finals of like 2018 or something, and it was hype. It's like the show actually does a pretty good representation of what competitive Karuta looks like, and it's kind of cool.
I'm very interested in seeing what an actual somebody's got to teach us. We got to film this.
It's gonna be so bad.
It's gonna be perfect. But yes, okay. So I think this one, my number 3, will be a little easier to pick up. This one is a bit higher, or like probably more well known, but not often mentioned on a lot of lists. And you know this one, and I know how you feel about certain parts of the show. So I love Megalobox. Season 1 included. Season 2 is a lot better than season 1, though. I will tell you that right now. So like, yeah, season 2 is very good, but like, that was never in question because I loved season 1. So why wouldn't this be great, right? So, but the fact that Megalobox was as solid as it was, I really like this. I loved seeing, Gearless Joe, kind of his famed season 1, right? As he builds his legend. I liked seeing that. He just made work of everybody. Of course, they did that annoying ending with Yuri where you're not really sure how things went. Well, and then they kind of explained that in season 2. Like, you get a little bit more. They expand on it a little bit more. But most importantly, you see the side of what it's like to be an athlete out of their prime. Or out of what's life like after their legend, and that's the joy of season 2 of Megalobox. I'm in love with that. You saw him. I'm obviously not happy that he's like struggling, but this is great. I love that he's struggling with like drugs addiction and all of this other stuff. But like his painkiller meds, and you could see he's still feeling all the pain in his body, just like aching on him, and the withdrawal as he goes dry. Like you just see him fully just go through the motions and finally get better. And he's set up for another big fight. So like this is exactly what I wanted to see, right? It's almost like if there was an anime Rocky. This was like really good and for a sports anime. And I most importantly think I enjoyed the soundtrack that stayed consistent either in at least in levels of joy. Like I think the fact that they went with Nomad, I loved the huge like fusion of like, there's mariachi music, there's lots of stuff in there. I think the music was great for the anime, and the way the style of like animation was also perfect. It's not like high end, like it doesn't look as fancy as like, let's just say Violet Evergarden, but it's very good in what it's trying to look like. It's got that gritty 80s look. So
yeah,
I love that. So every character in season 2 was even better than season 1. I did kind of dislike the whole, I get it, Joe left, so the kids, the kids that he left behind, the one main one that got into like megaloboxing in like, in spite of him, of like, Joe, I'm like, okay, Sasha, I can't remember his name, but like that arc was kind of annoying, but other than that, I'm just like, dude, all right, this is a pretty killer season.
Yeah, no, so the thing was like season 1, like you said, is kind of like building up his legend.
Sachio,
yeah, you got it.
Yes.
Season 1, I just felt like, him becoming a legend or whatever, and like the fights don't really pay off as well. But season 2 is where I think this show really shines, because like you said, like we don't really get to see many shows that are about what it's like past your prime, and like he's sort of living his past his legend, and how does he live up to it, especially because the season sort of starts with him having just sacrificed basically everything to try to keep his legend going, and he fails. And like that's like his fall from grace is like so massive, and it's devastating to him, as I think a lot of people would feel, like if you felt like you were on top of the world and suddenly you lose everything because you put it all on the line, like that can't feel good. And you could see in Joe that it did not feel good, and he's suffering, and he's trying to come back, and it's a story of redemption, recovery, and community. And I think that's what makes Megalobox season 2 really special. And yeah, I really, as somebody who really did not care for season 1, season 2 completely brought me back around on the series, because season 2 was fantastic.
And then like I guess I have to ask, after now watching season 2, does that change how you does it make you feel a little better about season 1? Like, because now, okay, they've kind of built this kind of like foundation, like, okay, this is who Joe is. This is how he got there. Now you get to see the nitty gritty of Joe. Because of how good season 2 was, and like the things that they referenced from season 1, did it make season 1 more enjoyable for you now, like as you think back, or is it like still the same for you? Has it not really done anything for your...
No. I still think season 1 sucked.
Fair. Hey. It's okay. I get it. It's kind of weird, but I get it, man. Okay.
I feel like it's like how I feel about Final Fantasy 14 sometimes, where I'm just like, just skip ARR or skip Stormblood and just read a synopsis. I'm joking on the Final Fantasy 14 thing, but like
I'm not joking when I say skip our ARR.
Season 1, I did not enjoy it, and I feel like it's an overly long prologue that didn't need to happen for season 2. So that's how I felt.
I would still recommend season 1. I would still recommend it, but okay. I had to ask. That's all.
If someone off our recommendation watches Megalobox, like I'd be curious how people felt. So, that said. Again, another thing about Megalobox, and I think this is a strong theme in the shows that you picked, is that the animation style is like aesthetically, this anime is perfect. Like they nail the whole like early 90s look in anime, and then the soundtrack is fuego. Like everything from, well, actually I didn't like season 1's opening song, but the ending, Kakate Koi, amazing. The OST that plays throughout the like during the fights and stuff, amazing. Season 2, front to back, amazing music. And yeah,
that outro song, every time it would come on, it hit me right in the feels.
Yes.
Like for season 2, like the slow acoustic guitar, over like with the singing, like, oh man, it was so drony and sad, yet it felt good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Just check out the show.
Whew.
Season 2 nailed it. Like season 2 is very good. Season 1 still enjoyable, but yeah, nowhere near Megalobox for me. Season 2 for me, but yeah, highly recommend. So now that's our number 3. So now we're closing in here on our top 2.
Yep. My next one is a little bit of a stretch.
Okay.
So if a card game is a sports anime, how about a board game? So in this case, it's Sangatsu no Lion, otherwise known as March Comes In Like a Lion. And this is a show about shogi, kind of. And I say kind of because the show starts to expand a lot further than just the relationship between the main character and shogi. And they get into, I think, probably what's closer to slice of life than just sports anime. But a big theme of the show is talking about how this wonder kid child, Ray, starts to... how he handles the cold, bitter world of competition that he's thrown himself into. Like, he's this guy who is amazing at shogi. They say he's like the youngest master at this game the world has ever seen, besides the current number 1. And yeah, the world of competition is one that's just brutal, right? Because someone has to win, someone has to lose, and your worth in that world is based off how much you win. And so he grows to be a very cold character, but then he's met with this other family who's so full of warmth, and they're all about kindness and family and community, and he starts to learn about what it's like to feel loved and to not have to worry about having to win all the time. And I love that dichotomy in Sangatsu no Lion. And as somebody who's like ultra competitive, like, I know what it feels like to feel like everything is just about winning. And sometimes you can lose track of your own humanity in that world. And so, like, him sort of going through the struggle of like finding himself through competition, but also finding himself through the people he loves and who cherish him. Like, I love that part about Sangatsu no Lion. And I think the show has amazing characters overall, and it's the kind of show that, like, it kind of moves at a snail's pace, like there's not a lot that kind of happens necessarily. It's just sort of like life events through Ray's life and the people around him. And this is a show that I feel like I could legitimately watch just like the entirety of his life, because I just love the portrayal of the things that he goes through. I love the characters that are around him. And then also, I think, because this is animated by Studio Shaft, they do such a beautiful way of animating the thing. Like, the animation style and the character designs are not kind of what you see a lot in current anime. Like, right now, the kind of what's popular is sort of like the Sword Art Online style of anime, where like thicker black lines, characters with they have like very solid color thing. Like, it in when you look at Sangatsu no Lion, it's almost like it's drawn in like crayon in a little bit, and it's got a wonderful
sketch work, right? Like, so yeah.
It has a very unique style to it, and I just love that. I love Studio Shaft's work in general, and I think like one of my favorite scenes in Sangatsu no Lion is they're playing shogi, and he's playing against another master, and he's feeling overwhelmed and like he's being choked out of the game, and they do this wonderful thing where they like sink him underneath like waves that the other guy is sending out while playing, and like he feels like he's drowning, and like I just love sort of like the metaphoricness of the animation combined with the narrative, and I just think it's done so beautifully. And yeah, I don't know, I'm a huge nerd for this show, and I want more seasons of it, but there's not that much that's out right now. I love this show.
No, I mean, this show it's also like available, by the way, on Netflix. If you like, it's on pretty much all the platforms.
Yeah.
So it's you can definitely watch it, and it's got a really, really good, like, kind of like, it's got solid writing from it. I think my friend, we were watching it, and yeah, like, I think that's also one of his favorites, like absolute favorites just in general.
Good taste, that friend.
Yeah.
This one's like one of my top picks of like just purely underrated anime too. So
yeah. Well, so I guess like my number 2 is nowhere nearly as heavy or as dark or, as heavy as that. So, but I'll follow up that anyways. Instead of March Comes In Like a Lion, though, how do you feel about Eurobeat? You know what it is.
Oh, I know what this is.
Is that an e-brake?
Yes, I know what this one is.
If you couldn't figure it out, Initial D. Initial D is by far probably my favorite sports anime, depending on maybe what I have at number 1. So I will tell you right now, this show has been like consistent all the way through every stage. Outside of like third stage, that one, the last season was just amazing. It was perfect. It closed perfectly. There's 5 seasons total. There's a few movies. All of them are really, really fun to like watch. The art style, it just continues to age a little bit worse every year. but like, oh, it's whatever, right? Like you look at Taki and his like, like kind of like his character design, like the most vanilla dude ever. And the way like the lines look, the facial expressions, it's just like, wow, that artwork just keeps getting worse every year. But if you ignore that, this show is kind of in the direction of how I like most of my sports animes, a little in the outlandish direction. The main character that, was apparently raised by his dad who without knowing, his dad trained him to be a master tier drifter, right? Because he used to deliver tofu for his dad down the mountains. and he was never, his dad would put a cup of tofu and water or something in the cup holder. And when he's drifting, when he turns, none of that can spill. So, and by the way, and Bunta, by the way, is just like his dad drifts down the mountain and he constantly smokes a cigarette and his eyes are closed. He sleeps his way through drifting. That's how easy he is. So naturally, he's the OP character. And this show has everything I love about it. The showmanship. Yes, there's the annoying character that does have to do every flashback or kind of reiterate everything that's happened up to this point. Well, if you haven't seen from earlier, oh my God, Taki did this play to get here to this hairpin turn. And it's like, okay, yes, we know that character exists, but I actually really, really love the way they showed the races. They built the intensity, just something about the angle of just how they would look at their rear view mirror and you'd see the car kind of closing in. You kind of just felt like, oh God, he's closing. They did such a good job with all that camera angles and the characters, the villains, the street racing teams between the Night Kids and all this other stuff. Huge fan of all of them. Love everything about this show and love the just pure ridiculousness of every single character in this game. There's the guy Shingo who one of the races is like a death duct tape match or something like that, where both your hands are duct taped to the wheel and you can't remove them. Or no, you can only keep your gear shifting one. So and I'm just like, okay, sure. And they're like, oh my God, that's Shingo's specialty. And he drives in his Honda CRV. And all these cars, like the Skyline, by the way, a Nissan Skyline, all these cars that are powerhouses are getting beaten by an 8.6. It's just this dinky old car. Think of it like a Pinto, essentially. They're getting beaten by a Pinto as it drifts down the mountain. And it does suffer from, if you're not a fan of the character, the main character, that's, oh, am I good? Oh, I didn't know. Whoa, I just did this normally because my dad told me to. But, and then on top of that, it is Pinto. And on top of that, it's got some of the most iconic soundtrack that we can think of today. It became a meme, but running in the 90s was gas. Literally the song Gas, Gas, Gas was awesome. Every song that's ever been on any of the soundtracks have been amazing. They've been pure fire. So if you're into if Fast and Furious were more of about street racing, and didn't become whatever the heist and going into space and all of that, then this is really good. You're going to be really enjoying this. There's a lot of good characters. It's got the street racing lifestyle. It's not like the Formula, F1, whatever racing. It's just street racing. And it really puts you right in the heart of everything.
Dope. Yeah, no, Initial D is one of those things where like I've known about Initial D since I was a wee lad, and I've played the Stepmania maps with Initial D music on it. I'm very familiar with the soundtrack, but yeah, I don't know. I never watched it. I don't know why.
If you can handle the old art, the oldish animation style too and all that, I think there's a lot of fun here to be had. Yeah. Even the hilarious 3D models of the cars. But it does get better. Like around stage 4, it gets really good. Like better, a lot better than where it was.
Gotcha.
So, why don't you lead us in now? So that's our number 2. Okay. So right. What is your number 1 sports anime?
My number 1, which is also in my top 10 anime
I think I know what it is.
Time. Yeah, I've talked about this a lot, and if you're somebody who comes from the fighting game community, it gets talked about a lot. It's Ping Pong the Animation. This show is, I don't know, I don't have enough words to talk about how highly I think of this because I guess the main themes of Ping Pong the Animation, obviously it's about ping pong, but you follow the story of basically 5 different guys who have a very different take through the competition of ping pong, right? You have Smile, who is this robot child who is very coachable but doesn't have any, enthusiasm for the sport. You have Pekko, who is like the exact opposite, who he's all enthusiasm but none of the rigor and training that Smile has. You have Dragon, who is this guy who's just like been at the top forever. You have the oh my god, I forgot the Chinese guy's name, but you have that guy who has a lot to prove because he comes from China, the heart of the ping pong world. And so like they have these characters and they all have a very unique take on why they compete. And I think Ping Pong the Animation might be, for me, the most pure form of exploration of competition through anime as a medium. And it's only 12 episodes. It's a very short anime. And I cannot imagine, like, I think narratively Ping Pong the Animation is perfect. And that's kind of scary to say because I think I'm somebody who's very critical of storytelling and all this stuff, and I really felt like Ping Pong the Animation just purely nailed it. And the one thing that I will mention is that not a lot of people take to the animation style all that much. Ping Pong the Animation is directed by Masaki Yuasa, who's pretty known for his sort of like experimental styles in animation. And Ping Pong the Animation has a very weird, sketchy look, and I know that's off-putting for a lot of people. However, I beg people to get past it because I think that there's just something truly special about the series. And if you're somebody who has ever tried to be competitive in literally anything ever, I feel like Ping Pong the Animation is just like the perfect anime to sort of like kind of find yourself within the anime a little bit and to like better like explore the competition space. And yeah, I don't know. I love the show to death, and I always try to tell people to watch it because I just love it so much. So yeah, I mean, this is like one of my favorite anime of all time. And even though it is popular in like, sub communities like the FGC and whatever, I think more people should be watching this, and one that I feel like gets snubbed a lot. So yeah, Ping Pong the Animation.
I think it's definitely, for me, I want to watch this so much. But then the animation really, I just can't get past the animation.
Just do it. Just do it. It's 12 episodes. That's like one of the things I love about it. It's sweet, short, gets to the point. There's no fluff. And it ends well. Don't you want to watch an anime that ends well, Crim?
I do. That's why. Like, and it's not like this. This has definitely been like an anime that's like revered by anybody that like watches any sports anime too, right? This is always like in the top 3 of everyone's list because of how good it is. But that animation just, it hurts me a little bit every time. But yeah, I just got to get through it. But yeah, this is one that often gets recommended because of how well it's like drama building and everything is. So I'm excited to like to get started on this eventually. I just gotta stomach the.
You just gotta do it.
I always go.
Man.
You know what? I'm gonna start it today. Today, I'm gonna start it, and then I watch
stomach
a little
the 3D
bit.
cars from Initial D. You can stomach some sketchy looking art. You know, like
Hey man, those cars are sick, dude.
the CG Pinto that is my paralysis demon that wakes me up at night. You know, no, but God, it's so worth it. And
Yeah.
I was also in the same boat where I was like, I don't know, man. Like this style is really bizarre looking, but I came to really love it towards the end. And yeah.
All right. So that's your number one.
That's my number one, baby. All right, top it, Crim. Give me what you got.
Very easy. I love Outlandish, right? I love all of that. So, and you know what? I love my isekais.
Uh-oh. Where's this going? Yeah.
Space Jam.
I hate you, Crim. All right, this episode's over, and I'm leaving.
Dude. Is it not an isekai? It is. Okay, all right, fine. I won't argue that. And if I can't have Space Jam,
is Space Jam an anime?
Space Jam is an anime. Declared. But since I'm gonna get denied that, whatever, YouTube and listeners at home, fine. Space Jam is not an anime. Then I guess I'll just have to go with Kuroko no Basket. I really do like the whole. Yes, there's like the phantom pass ability where essentially, wait, what? Hold on, did you just pass the ball and nobody's? How does that work? I don't really know. And like, the show has. The animation is so. I think the main thing about it is because the animation is seamless and it's like very good, and it's very intense. Like I feel like these episodes move it so, like it feels so fast paced. Just like watching the show, and that's why I really just can get behind it because it just feels like if you watch 4 seasons of it, it didn't feel like I watched 4 seasons of it. Right, the games went by, every single thing went by quickly, and most importantly, I loved watching the animation of every move. You know what I mean? They're essentially they shot laser beams at each other, but sure, it's a basketball. Okay, whatever.
The basketball just turns into a beam of blue light.
They even had auras. Like this was actually like a shonen anime. This is a battle anime, right? And so no matter what anybody tells you, this is a battle anime. And my favorite part about Kuroko no Basket is the fact that all the characters do not look like they're in high school. There was one, I forgot which high school he was from, but he looked like he was well in his like 30s, dude. And he's like, I was like, is this based off like Jason Kidd or something like that? Who is this? Like,
damn, that's a reference,
dude. Like, yeah, this is legit though hilarious to me. Like all the high schools. Okay, you go back. I'm gonna try to see if I can find some of the high schools. All right. I gotta figure out which one exactly. Oh yeah, Yosen High was the one I'm talking about. There's a dude. Oh, all right, look up Kenichi Okamura. Is this dude in high school? Like that is what we're asking. Is this dude in high school?
Oh my god!
This is supposed to be a third year, right? Right. So a third year is what? A junior?
I'm telling you, dude. Look at his shoulders. I'm just saying that in anime years, he's basically about to retire.
Dude, he is 18, dude. That dude is 18. Are you joking me?
I gotta show you this picture, the screenshot. Look at how wide he is. He's basically a Titan from Attack on Titan.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay, Dawn, bring this up, please. Because, dude, he looks like he's like massive. He looks like how Chris Redfield looked in Resident Evil 5, like with just how absurdly buff and big he was that it's almost distracting, right? And then you have like the characters from like what is it, Sogo Academy. That's the one where like one of the dudes looked like Jason Kidd. Everybody on this team looked like they were well in their 30s. except maybe one guy. The only person in this entire show that doesn't look like they're in their 30s is the main character.
Main character, yeah.
So realistically, that's why this anime is so funny to me. It's like, just why does it have to be placed in high school? Like, just put this in the real world. That's my only thing. But other than that, this show is really well done, and the pacing of it is perfect. It matches how I think the reason why I like this, because when you watch basketball, right? Like, why I love watching basketball so much is the fast-paced flow of the game. They did a very good job of capitalizing the fast-paced flow of basketball, then putting it into anime, and then adding blue laser beams. So, like, which is what I've always wanted.
Yeah, no, I agree. I haven't watched all of Kuroko no Basket, but like I've seen a little bit of it, and like the intensity, the animation that they do is gorgeous, and like I always love when anime take fast moving characters and like outline their eyes in some sort of like laser color. Just like, you know, when they're doing like spin moves and stuff, you get to like trace it, and like they do a lot of that in Kuroko no Basket, and it always looks so cool to me. And I gotta say, my favorite power though in Kuroko no Basket is definitely the guy who is so unassuming that he disappears. And so you can't guard him.
By the way, we call this invisibility.
I love that, like, in season 1, it feels like a lot of the powers are sort of like, okay, yeah, like they're within reason. Like the guy who can pass like a laser beam, there's a guy who can sort of like shoot wherever on the court, but then there's just this guy who turns invisible. His presence just goes away, and I'm like, yes, that's yeah, okay, yeah. Well, we'll go with that.
I did laugh at that part, and I think that's what added to because it was just full on like, you know what? Okay, all right, you know, I'm still working with this, and then the full on invisibility was when I was like, okay, this is what exactly I needed. This is what I can't get watching the NBA. All right. Yeah. I mean, the people that are invisible in the NBA are invisible because they're bad, and no one guards them because no one cares.
They're just on the bench.
Yeah, and they're on the bench, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think characters like Akashi are super solid too. He's the captain, right? And like, I liked him because he brought a lot of street ball stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the way you can tell whoever designed a lot of the movements in this show studied a lot of the basic like mannerisms of how the game works, right? And like you see like how the and one players play, and so they kind of did a good job of taking that and then putting it into that street ball into Akashi, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So.
And I think like I want to also sort of double back on some of the things I said earlier, where I said, you know, like I like a lot of the anime that I recommended in this episode are more realistic. I think some of these shows are friggin' awesome. The ones that are just so crazy and outlandish that like you go through that whole like suspension of disbelief, because at this point you're just like, what other cool powers exist in basketball? You know what I mean? Like, where can they go from here? A guy just turns invisible? What's next? You know? So I love how ridiculous things get, and I at some point I really need to watch like Prince of Tennis, because like one of my favorite powers in Prince of Tennis in the manga is like this guy, as you play him, he takes away the other person's senses. You're just like, wait, what? And so he's playing the guy, I think his name is Sanada. He's like one of the 3 like emperors of tennis, I guess. And he's playing the guy, and he's like, wait, I can't feel the racket in my hand anymore. Like, what? That's so weird. Oh, I can't hear the sound of the ball hitting the pavement. And then eventually it gets to the point where he's like, I can't see while I'm playing. And you're like, what is going on here? How does this even work? And they're like trying to explain it. It's like, his overwhelming tennis prowess just like inserts itself into the nerves of your brain. And you're like, and so it takes away your ability to play against him. And you're like, what? But whatever, sure. So, yeah.
His overwhelming sense of tennis prowess, huh? That's what did me in. Oh, wow.
You wouldn't understand, Crim, if you're in the court with him. And like the funny thing with Prince of Tennis is like the starting powers and like the early thing is like, yeah, the main character has a cross serve where it bounces the opposite way, which is like a real thing. And then, like, there's a guy who's got, like, really long arms and he can curve the ball around the net, which, happens. But then they get to the guy who can serve where the ball doesn't bounce, so it's impossible to return. And he's got this thing called the Tezuka zone where he basically mind controls you into always returning back straight to him. It's nuts.
It's obviously a part of the game, mind control. So
yes, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Oh my god!
But that's the thing is like I love these shows. They're just not the ones that I want to start this to go through this episode on. But yeah, like I'm glad you mentioned Kuroko no Basket because I do love how ridiculous sports anime can get and how fun they can be for how ridiculous they are, and like they take advantage of the anime medium really well.
Exactly. And that's why I think like when I watch these sports animes, I want the just outlandishness of it. So that's often why I watch a lot of like the ones I do like are kind of a little over the top, like a little bit over the top.
Initial D over the top. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You don't just drive down long hillsides, drifting with a nightcap on and everything.
No. Yeah, like, or how about the man that drifts down this mountaintop that is windy as hell with his eyes closed, and just like he's like, oh, hold on, I gotta light the cigarette. All right. Sure, man. Or my favorite, when you put your tire on the inner curb or gutter, so you swing it around a little bit more, so that's how you're able to lock on to the hairpin turns. And I'm like, okay, sure, you got it, guy.
Those initial D drivers probably have to go through so many tires a year.
Dude, oh my god. Seriously, except for Shingo, who loves drifting in the rain.
That sounds like a song.
Yeah, drifting in the rain is definitely something would be written by Vin Diesel. So like for sure, everything I learned in my life, I learned on this track. So
oh god.
But yeah, so I mean, to kind of wrap up this episode, I think the one thing to take away from all this is, even if you don't actually like the sports themselves and the activity themselves, this is what took me a long time to really like come to grips with, and it's that you can still enjoy these animes, even if you don't know anything about the game, because that's the least important part. When I talk about Kuroko no Basket, I think I don't even talk about the basketball part, to be honest with you. That's like the last thing I talk about. But I mean, that's the best thing about these shows. So I highly recommend checking these out. Xell has some bangers on there too. I also think Haiku is really good and would normally be on this kind of list to recommend. But I wanted to bring up some other ones that aren't normally kind of talked about enough. I do think that for some odd reason, Initial D is just super, like, it's memed on a lot, but like it's actually a good racing anime, a street racing anime.
I think it's just old, Crim. I'm sorry.
You know what, dude?
Sorry. Someone had to say it.
I would be where you are right now to discuss this, but I got to make it to my 40-year-old high school reunion.
Where we all bring our old varsity jackets and talk about how we peaked.
You remember Varsity Week, bro?
Oh, my God.
But yeah, these are some shows that just kind of feel like they've fallen off to the wayside, except for Kuroko no Basket. That one's still a banger, still talked about, and still kind of recent. I think it's like 2012 or something. So, check these out, and then like really give it a shot. I know as I say that, I've still kind of written off ping pong because of the animation, but like you got to give it a shot, because I do think that the it's more than just the sport. And if you're into the camaraderie, the character development, the sense of competitiveness, as Xell has mentioned, and all of that, sports anime bring that. And they bring it very well. So if you ever liked wrestling? I mean, wrestling, I'm surprised there isn't a wrestling anime, actually. But I heard WWE is making an anime.
Oh, there's an anime where a professional wrestler gets isekai'd and he isekai's the princess and his whole goal is to
that is definitely not what I was talking about.
And then he starts a pet store and a pet shop. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of a anime about wrestling.
I'm gonna put that on my watch list for sure. Just to see what
it's called
that's
Kimono
about,
Michi.
Oh my god! But I think legitimately Crunchyroll or something signed a deal with the WWE. If I recall, there's a wrestling anime coming, but I'm surprised it took this long because I think wrestling has a lot of the things already. Except now they can amplify that 50 times over. So.
Yeah.
I'm excited, and this is, if you're into all of that, the showmanship, the ridiculousness, you loved how Yu-Gi-Oh! Was just over the top, all the over-top things. There's a lot here. And there's also the realistic stuff, too, like Run Like the Wind, and, all of that.
Yeah, I think despite what you might think about sports anime, I think there's a huge variety. And I think, I think you nailed it with just talking about, like, it's not about the sport. It's usually about a lot of different things around the sport rather than about, and like, if anything, like, I came into a lot of these shows without having played the sport and I grew better appreciation for it, and it made me actually even curious about trying it myself. I remember after watching Haikyuu, I was like, I'm gonna play volleyball, and then I realized I was short and I can't actually spike the ball above the net the way they do it in that show. But it's still really fun, and I love sports anime as so yeah, I don't know, I hope you guys pick one of these shows. Please watch Pick Pong the Animation and let us know how you guys think about the shows.
All right, that's a wrap. So I guess it's about that time. I got to go pretend to go be a basketball player somewhere outside. So just kidding. I'm probably gonna go to bed after this. But yeah, like anything you want to say on our way out here, like other than of course. I want to say from at least from my point of view here, like holy cow, we are on episode 18. So thank you for following this long. Hell yeah. And I'm so excited as we're so close to episode 20. And we see you out there commenting, interacting, and just like, any shares, anything like that. Spread it amongst your friends, amongst the anime community, will always be appreciated. So,
yeah. And I, of course, always want to hear what our community has to say about our picks. And if there's something that you guys would like to see, like, I would love to see that in the comments. And so, with that, please like, comment, and subscribe. Be safe out there, guys. Wear a mask and get vaccinated. And see you guys in next week's episode.
See you on the basketball court.
You won't see me because I'm invisible, Crim.
Oh, damn it, you're right.
Just fade me out. All right, bye, guys.
Peace.